Hello! Wake up, everybody. Good morning and happy Friday. Super pumped for this webinar today. I hope no late joiners because I'm not going to be able to see them while I'm speaking for the first 30 to 40 minutes. Did everybody enjoy my music? And I just have some house rules. Please turn on your video as much as you please mute yourselves while we are doing this webinar so that I can send and so that I can blab here for 30 to 40 minutes. And then later on, what we're going to do is to have an open floor discussion, questions and answer portion of the webinar so that we can interact. So the team is here as well. I'm still continuously admitting some folks, but the team is here as well to go ahead and take down some of your notes, some of your comments, some of your takeaway questions and whatnot. There's also a photo opportunity for us to share it through a newsletter in Workspace Go. We're actually sharing this webinar to our clients as part of our commitment that we're able to give you support, give you the webinars that you need in order to keep on learning within the Workspace Go community. So if you can volunteer to go ahead and share your insights later on, that would be great for you to be able to practice speaking up. And also, if you don't say anything, please be prepared to be called. I will be calling random folks later on. So please be prepared for that. Don't be shy, guys. Tayo-tayo lang to. Pinoy lang ang nandito. So please enjoy the webinar. So without further ado, do you see my screen? Yes? Yeah. Perfect. All right. So let me go ahead and maximize my screen right here. So without further ado, why are we here? The webinar is actually going to be packed with a lot of practical knowledge for you guys. It's about leveraging on cultural awareness, knowledge that I want to impart to you guys in terms of the nuances of cultural differences, how to navigate cultural difficult conversations with your clients. So all of us are actually virtual assistants, isn't it? All of us have Western clients. We're going to deep dive into that topic of speaking up in this kind of setting, in this kind of freelance landscape. It's very important that you navigate this with confidence. It's a subject that's very close to my heart. So I'm very eager to learn together, to engage with you guys. Leverage your strengths in your communication skills because all of us here have that basic communication skills in English, but how do you leverage that and strengthen that through learning the nuances of cultural differences and being aware? Okay. Let me start by telling you a little bit about me because some of you guys haven't met me yet. I have a total 20 years of experience in different cultural backgrounds already. I started with BPO client management in the Philippines for massive experience in the call center industry for more than 10 years. And with that exposure comes with me meeting a lot of clients in flesh, like meeting them like Walmart Canada, known brands like T-Mobile, GE Money Bank in the United States. And when I meet them, it's all about me learning as well the cultural difference so that I can impart the training that they're trying to train me on so that I can train the Filipino team on how to be stronger in terms of their abilities to handle phone calls. And it's tough if you don't know cultural differences. But there were times when I was in that situation where I'm gonna be assigned to bring them to Green Hills. It's a famous shopping center in the Philippines, in Metro Manila. I show them around. I had an agenda. One time, my Walmart Canada COO and his team came, and I had an agenda. One is to bring them around Metro Manila to gig BGC. Then I rented a jeepney, and then I showed them around, and I told them what jeepney is all about in the Philippines. I brought them to a restaurant which is very famous as well in order for them to learn the food of the Philippines and a lot more. Like, it's just a lot of experience that I was able to talk to them, engage with them, have face to face memorable visits. And I pick them up at the airport. They tell me about the weather. They tell me about the Canadian culture and all that. And That's it. When I co-founded an outsourcing agency as well in the Philippines, named as called Alchemy Outsourcing, which is similar to Workspace Go. I did meet my clients as well. I went around with my CEO, and the core team was actually brought to Australia during retreats. We were able to see Australian clients, meet them in flesh, and have a great time together. 3 years ago, I immigrated to the United States. I was now face to face, head on with these Americans. So I know why they speak up. Why is it easy for them to decide on things? Why is it normal for them to say, "How are you?" while you are like walking around? Like, why are they eager to connect with you? And why are they so excellent at connecting and just being themselves? So there's a lot of differences. It's amazing that I have experienced all of these so that I can also share my blessings with you with all these knowledge. And then now I am back to freelancing, fully freelancing again. I left my job as a business office manager and admin director here in the United States, and I'm here working in Workspace Go. Once again, meeting clients, doing a lot of firefighting, talking to clients, and then talking to virtual assistants as well, joining. I also became a TOEFL instructor for a couple of years. So I was exposed not only like Filipino culture, but the Korean culture, the Asian culture as a whole. Like one time I was surprised as I had students, Koreans, they're bowing to teachers. They are actually talking to their superiors, to teachers, whoever they see, and then they bow down. But I had a twin student. So I was surprised when he actually bowed down when he saw his twin brother. And I was like confused. I said, "What's that all about? Like, why do you bow down to your twin brother?" And he told me, "Well, we were born 5 minutes apart and he went first." And I was like, "What? It's that extreme?" It's so hilarious to me that I was explained that kind of cultural norm in their country. All right. I just want to let you know that ever since I was born, I think from my memory as being a child, I've already been an outspoken person. I would get slapped by my mother a lot because I say a lot of things in school that was against policies or whatever. I was just rebellious. I'd get slapped. I would always play around with other kids outside our home. I have 9 siblings, by the way. We're 10 in the family, and that same mother, same father, by the way, in case you're wondering. But my mother would always say, "Come inside. You have a lot of brothers and sisters to play with." But yeah, because of that personality that I have, I was able to really leverage on speaking up and just take advantage of that. It's just so innate with me. And so in my career, it brought me a lot of success. So let's talk about cultural differences. Okay. So these cultural differences, these are general. It's not always going to be applying to all. I'm coming from a point of view where I spoke with hundreds of clients, hundreds of virtual assistants already. Clients telling me, like, what is it in the Philippine culture that people are kind of scared to speak up? Clients would be booking a meeting with me and asking me, "Can we have a meeting? I want to know the best method to give feedback to my virtual assistant. She is just so shy, so meek, and I don't know how I'm going to navigate that conversation." Or I would have clients saying, "Why is my virtual assistant saying sorry 10 times a day?" Or would ask me silly questions. And I said, "What do you mean? Can you expound on that?" And I remember my client, Ben Shannon, telling me, he would say, my VA would say, "Is it okay if I ask questions?" And that to me is silly. And I was like, "Oh, okay, I know what you mean." But, for Western folks, I have to tell them that there's always that cultural differences that matter. And I need to tell them that in order for them to understand how to talk to virtual assistants. Some clients would feel annoyed. And how about virtual assistants? It's a two-way street for me. I talk to virtual assistants as well. They always ask me, like, what am I going to do? My clients is telling me to work in the weekends. How do I say no? My client scolded me. I do a lot of things for him. And Now he's scolding me for being late. Hey, I'm offended, and all of these things. One thing that set us apart or the difference is the respect for hierarchy, guys. Mano po, permission, culture, asking versus telling. If we disagree to higher ups, that's disrespectful. If I opened my mouth when I was a kid, I'd get slapped because I'm going to be like, you little evil, you are disrespecting me, right? Because it's often tied to age and experience. Westerners, on the other hand, put less emphasis on that. You can be a CEO if you want. You can be a 14, 15-year-old and have your own company. Direct communication is more better for them. And it's any age. I went to a restaurant last week and I saw somebody, probably in his 20s, a black American guy, talking to a 60s, 70s-year-old woman. The woman was saying something about the soup, complaining about something. And the guy in his 20s said, well, what do you want me to do? You want me to replace it? Because that's the way it is. How about it? If you see that as Filipinos, you're going to perceive that as rudeness. Because we really value and honor our elderly folks. And we give them special treatment, isn't it? When you're in the Philippines, you will see there's a lane for seniors. There's nothing like that in the Western countries like the United States or Australia. But anyway, I was just so proud how I am as a Filipino over here working in the United States. I've noticed that you need to be in a position where you're going to speak up. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to gain respect from them. Okay? They don't use sir, ma'am. They want direct communication. When you are in a stand-up meeting, the last job I had as a business office manager, we had a stand-up meeting. And we always have that every 9 o'clock. And each and every person will be asked, what's on your plate? What's going on? Justin, how about you? Ron, what's going on your side? You gotta talk something, a highlight about what your day is every 9 o'clock. And I was shocked because working here for so long, for the very first time, I now have a Filipino coworker. And there was a difference between I and Justine. Her name is Justine. Every time the table turns on her, she would be asked, Justin, what's going on? And she would have a copy paste template. And she would say the same thing. Nothing much. Same. And here comes me. I would always be the last one because I report directly to that boss. And I would say something like, well, I have 3 people to do orientation with today. I need you guys to go ahead and go to the boardroom and your schedules are there. I don't want to be chasing people for their schedule. Please show up in your orientation. I don't ask, right? We don't ask. The Westerners don't ask. There's a difference between asking versus telling, right? We gotta tell them. And Westerners are like that. Okay? It's not about is it okay or nothing like that. I also had a friend, like one Black American. I asked him, did you ever have a Filipino friend while working in the United States? And then he said, well, never, but I did have an acquaintance. And I was like, oh, tell me. And then he said, it was weird because she was under me and she always says, Mr. Jonathan, can I go to the bathroom? Asking permission. And I said, how did you react? Like, I looked at her and I was like, it's weird. But I just said, go on, do you. So their culture is about do you, whatever it is. He said, in my head, I was thinking, I don't care where you want to go if you want to go to the bathroom. That was just so funny. So moving on to our next difference is the need to stand out and be unique. Okay. Western folks, because they are so outspoken, they have a lot of unique perspective. They express their opinions so well. It's expected in their culture to say something, and it helps them stand out. Okay? They over express their opinions. And they are actually encouraged to disagree during meetings. And They are just gregarious in nature. I was in airport several times or just walking around, and they will always say, "Hey, how are you? Good. What's going on?" Like you walk around and they would always wait for you to look at them so that they can say something. They're good at that. Whereas for us, we have that historical backdrop in our country, and it's because of 333 years. Could you imagine? Colonization for that long, dictatorship for decades. We're always just submissive. We're always just suffering in silence. I always get that from my in laws and my husband. Filipinos love suffering in silence. And I experienced that when I was in the hospital with my mother. And my mother in law was brought to ICU. My sisters in law came to the Philippines and they were all like talking to the resident doctor, saying, like, hey, when can we get the final diagnosis? Like, how many tests are you running? How much is the bill right now? It's been 4 days, we still don't have diagnosis. What's going on? How long will my mother be in ICU? So they asked those types of questions to the resident doctor and the nurse. Lo and behold, after a few hours, the doctor of my mother-in-law, the actual doctor of my mother-in-law, came and said something to us inside a room and said, like, hey, the resident doctor and the nurse, actually, when you spoke with them in the morning, they felt attacked. And then my sister-in-law was like, what? Whoa, that's so strong of a word. That's like a bear to attack somebody. Nope, we were just asking questions. And I was like laughing. I was laughing and I was explaining to my sisters-in-law that somehow us Filipinos would really feel offended, feel attacked. They're not used to that type of communication, right? I had to explain to them why people in the Philippines feel offended sometimes. But look, all these Westerners, they don't intend to do that to you. It's just the way that they are. And it helps them stand out and be unique as individuals. And because of that, we also have cultural difference, which is the innovation and decision making. It's just so easy for them, so natural for them. Their strong execution skills come from that. They are faster in executing. They embrace new ideas, diversity. They're encouraged to disagree with higher ups so that they can get more ideas. Here in Florida, I'm in Orlando, Florida, by the way, guys, and we have diverse backgrounds here. We have Puerto Ricans, we have Jamaicans, Haitians, what else? Black Americans, of course, white folks, Australians too, whoever that is. It's a retirement state, so it's a mix of culture in Orlando, Florida, and I see that. It's the strength. They see the difference as a strength. Okay? And how about us? When we talk about Filipinos, we are all about task-based. Like we want a list. For us, if we see the list, we check it, okay, done. That means that you're successful for the day. You're able to follow everything and you're done. And hesitation, like there's a hesitation in us to say something. One time the VA said, I don't want to say something, I'm going to be required to do something and to have more tasks if I say something. But in a remote setup, the Westerners are hungry for that. Like, how come my virtual assistant is not saying something, All of us in a meeting, but there's only that Filipino who's not saying anything. And when asked about feedback, they don't say much. Or worse is, you say zero, nothing. When in fact, you can say something. There's going to be something that you can make a difference with, Like one time I was working at this business office manager and I changed things around. I like changing things around. I'm not going to suffer in silence. Like when I do orientation, I'm like chasing them, sending them message like, hey, your orientees are ready, because all the managers should have a portion on the second day. And I changed that around. I said, look, you guys, I posted a schedule there. I will no longer text you. Okay, I will go ahead and give you a schedule there. It's on the booklet. It's also posted in the boardroom. And this is your schedule. And I presented that kind of agenda even in front of all the leaders of all branches of the company, because they said, hey, what's going on in Altamont Springs, Florida for Maybelline McLeod? What is it that you guys are doing differently in there? And we do have a board meeting once a month where we travel, we get to be booked in a hotel, and then we talk about the things that we are implementing differently. That's what they like. They like a different approach in everything. Okay, those are Westerners. All right, so what about number 4, valuing personal relationships? This is so good because Filipinos, we place significant value on our personal relationships, and they love that about us, about Filipinos. They say, oh, I've been to the Philippines. People are so kind, so nice to me. And I'm just so proud these folks are telling me all these things, and all the more that I'm just so proud to be a Filipino. When I was working in the Philippines, my bosses are like singing karaoke with me. They love that. You get to invite them during your weddings, your christening, whatever occasion that is, birthday of your girl, the birthday of your son. It will be there. How about Westerners? They don't like that. When your boss is in the office setup, they're your bosses. They don't become your friends. Okay? They want professional accountability. Why? These boundaries help them achieve more. They're so eager to get to the finish line, and they want direct communication, no sugarcoating, no sandwich approach. If you're wrong, you're wrong. They're going to say you're wrong. For me, I like that better. I like it better than doing an approach where you're being told something like, oh, great job, and then there's that, and then there's another great job at the bottom, a sandwich approach. For me, no, I don't like that. I want you to tell me what's wrong so that I can change it immediately. Over politeness, too, that's just masking true opinions or feedback from you. Because, in Western folks, they don't like that. They want you to not apologize for little things. If you really did something and you were the one who caused it, go ahead and apologize. But if it's not warranted, it's unnecessary, like just cut the chase. Don't waste time apologizing. They're not focused on that. They're focused on the bottom line. All right?